Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Femme Tell All podcast. My name is Madison Bellissimo.
And I'm Ruth Devereaux.
And today we are covering green flags and red flags. Wow. That was pretty in sync.
That was.
We didn't practice that.
We did not. But
And
that happens all the time.
Every day of our lives. And I'm so excited to get into this because this is something I feel very passionate about.
Yeah?
Yeah. Green flags and red flags. I feel like it is something that whether I'm trying to be obnoxious or not, in my head, that could be the title of my memoir, whether I'm trying to be obnoxious or not, is I while I'm in the date, I'm like, green flag, red flag.
That's so great.
Green flag.
I actually
green
like
flag.
that.
Yeah.
I think even outside of dates, we should do that for people.
I think we absolutely should.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do say it. I feel like outside, sometimes I'll be like, that's a green flag.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like I say that sometimes.
You do.
But more, more in a platonic sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
because it really helps kind of define people.
Yeah.
In a way.
Kind
Not
of.
to put people in categories.
Sure.
But there are certain things you want to be on the lookout for.
We're not trying to judge people.
Yes, we are.
But we are. We are. Actually, though, I went
judgy judgers.
Judgy McJudgers. I did go on a date the other day, and a guy audibly out loud said, there we go, use your words, Madison. He said, he was like, green flag, green flag, green flag. And he was checking off
That's
imaginary green flags about me.
I mean, obviously, no red flags here.
No, that's not true. But I was just oh my God, stop talking dirty to me. This table.
I'll take my pants off right now. I don't know.
I mean, Ruth said it, but I was thinking it. I truly was like, oh my God, we're on our first date.
You're so
stop.
forward.
Stop it. But it was really nice.
That's
I was
cute.
like, it was very validating
that.
in the moment. Yeah.
Especially because he was calling out valid green flags.
Let's hope. Yeah.
I think so.
I don't know. I think so. I try to be, you try to be
You're a walking
a
green flag. That's what you should be for Halloween next year.
That's cute. That would be really cute. But I think everyone would be pretty annoyed by that. I think that's an annoying thing in general, but maybe not.
That's a kind of a cute single costume. Just have a green flag and then all your great qualities.
Oh, and just business cards.
Yes.
Giving out. I actually really like that idea.
Yeah.
Someone do that next year.
Yeah, please do.
You won't be
send us
annoying.
pictures.
You won't be annoying. I take it back. Okay, what would you say are some of your favorite green flags?
Right off the bat, biggest green flag for me is kindness. Being kind to the people around them, being kind even about people they don't know, about just even if they hear a situation and they just respond with kindness. That to me is such a huge factor in a human being and people that I like to surround myself with.
Totally. Yeah, okay. So kindness is top.
Top.
You want to give any more, or you kind of want to
okay,
go?
Wait, no,
we can toggle back and
just
forth.
be kind. No, okay. Well, let me see. Loves animals. Big factor for me. I have
Huge
two
for you.
cats that are very big part of my life. And so I could never. I also just don't understand that. I don't understand people that are just I don't like animals. That's also on my red flag list. To jump ahead a little bit.
I think that's great. I think that both as a green flag and a red flag. Yeah.
Also, I love driven people. So to me, it's a super green flag when I hear people talk about what their dreams are and how they're pursuing them, what their plans are to get there, and even just having a passion. Period, I think is a beautiful thing to have, and I like people that have that.
Passion is one of mine.
Great.
Yeah, that's a huge green flag for me. Yeah.
What about you?
I think those were all great. I co-sign on all of those. I would say piggybacking on the animal thing. Piggyback. I didn't mean to say it, but piggybacking on that, not to be punny, but I love it when I see a grown ass man go into baby voice for a animal or a baby.
Yes.
That is a green flag for me, especially if they're fucking macho and then they see a dog and they're like, oh, you with your little legs, are you okay? And that, I'm that's kind of a green flag to me.
I love that.
Because I'm you don't take yourself too seriously where you're not going to show emotion.
Yeah.
I think I've dated a lot of guys with dogs because of that. Because as soon as I see them with their dog that they're a softie with, I'm like it just like does something for me,
I love
you know?
that.
So I think
it also just shows different factors of a person, right?
Yeah.
If they're willing to show that sensitive side of them, then for one, they have it.
Yeah.
For two, they're
It's
not
accessible.
afraid to. Yeah.
it's not locked away. Yeah.
They're not also afraid to express emotion, which I think is massive.
Yeah. It kind of encompasses that. It's like a silly little thing, but like when they do that, when they're like, oh, look at you, little guy, you know, I'm like, I love that. Passion is a huge thing for me. Kindness for sure. I co-sign that.
Yeah.
I need someone that's considerate, you know, like I think if you're not caring about other people's well-being or like even like nothing that even remotely affects you, that's such a green flag.
Yeah.
I'll use an example on the date that the guy, I'll give him a green flag because I don't think he's going to watch this, but when he did that to me, well, we'll see. We went to a concert together, and before we went to the concert, we were standing in line outside, and there was these two women outside waiting to try and get in. And they're like, do you guys have an extra ticket? We were like, no, so sorry, you know. And, you know, you move on with your day. You don't think twice about it. We get into the concert. We watch the concert. The end of the concert, I'm buying merch. And he's standing behind me, and he just goes, oh, the girls got in. And I was like, what? And he was like, the women that were outside, like, wanting the extra ticket, they got in. And I was like,
yeah.
I love that. I was like, the fact that he like mentioned it and it wasn't even like a, see, I pay attention. It was a very like organic, like, oh, that's awesome. Good for them. And then it was like end of the conversation. And it was like he could feel joy and like compassion and empathy for someone else and be like, that's so cool that they got into that. I was like,
yeah, I love that.
That's a really considerate green flag.
Quality,
I was like,
yeah.
And I think anyone that can take care of anything, like a plant or... What, you don't think you can take care of stuff?
No. I'm just saying it's so good.
Oh,
I was
okay.
in my long-term drawn out agreements because I agreed that much.
I love that. I thought you were like taking it internally. I was like, you take care of two cats
I do.
every goddamn day. That's where I was like, what? Okay, anyway, not me spitting. Okay, I got excited.
Green flag.
Green flag. Can she spit?
Okay.
I'm done, dude. Okay, I'm not cutting that. I don't give a fuck.
We don't cut here.
We don't cut here. One take. Anyway, what was I saying? When they can take care of something.
Yes.
When they can take care of plants,
Yes.
they can take care of, say, a family member's sick or something.
Absolutely,
I know that sounds so upsetting when you think about it, but
yeah.
I think that's such a green flag when they have like little siblings that they take care of, or you know, an animal. You know, like
absolutely.
when you see someone be able to, I think that's again that empathy thing of like recognizing someone else's needs, not necessarily above your own, but like beside your own. You know, you're like, oh, I have to do this because I want to make sure they're taken care of before something that you selfishly want to do. I think that is something that's so great and palpable as far as like, oh, you care. Like you have the compassion. You have capacity to care for others before yourself. And I really like that.
I think also adding on to that, I think responsibility is also a huge green flag. And if somebody can take responsibility of like factors in their life, whether it's caring for somebody else or like just like having like taking care of their car, taking care of like their clothing, like like there's a responsibility. Like I'm not describing it correctly, but like somebody that can be responsible and take care of things and handle things like that you can trust in them to be a partner, I think is a massive thing.
Yeah. And consistency.
Oh,
please consistency.
Be consistent.
Baby girl.
Well, that's like when you can kind of let go of like your fears and like rely on somebody. If you can't trust in somebody to show up and do what they say they're going to do, that's a very bad thing.
We don't love it. We don't love it. And on the other side of it, when I know you can do that, my body's yours. That's all I'm going to say. If you're consistent, there's such a trust there that you build with that person, whether it's conscious or not. You know, like they're not necessarily doing these things consistently to be like, see, you can rely on me.
It's just who they are.
Exactly. It's that like reliability. And I think that is something that is so attractive.
So sexy.
Yeah. And like, even platonically, right? Like if we're not friends, you want your friends to be reliable and consistent too. But like, especially in a romantic relationship.
Absolutely,
Sign me up. I'm taking it.
10 times over.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many good green flags. And I think I think you said body care. You're kind of saying like with responsibility or like fashion or taking care of their clothes, taking care of
their things,
their
like,
car.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, yeah, someone who takes good, the bar's in hell. If you take good, like hygiene.
You're showering?
If you shower consistently, call me. No, I'm kidding. But in that way of like someone who cares.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not, I'm not asking you to have like designer stuff. I'm not asking you to have
absolutely not.
It's just like more the care of like
putting yourself together.
Yeah,
especially if we're talking about partnerships too, especially on dates. Like, don't be a slob. Don't show up like that. Like, I'm gonna put time and effort into like putting myself together. You do the same.
Yeah, I totally agree. A couple months back we were talking. I had a guy that I was about to go on a first date with told me, he was like, by the way, I might put my hair in a ball cap because it's being unruly today. And I remember being like, I appreciate that he told me that. And it's not like I would have been like, oh, his hair's in a ball cap. I'm never going on a date with him again. But I did express to you, I was like, we're going to a really nice bar. Like, this kind of feels weird. Like, I don't know. Hopefully, like, I was like, it's not that he can't. Yeah, but I was like, hopefully, like, if he wears a ball cap, hopefully he's like well put together. Because I'm gonna go and I'm gonna dress up. I want to look sexy for this first date. Like, it's a first impression. And then I was pleasantly surprised when that person had come and was like really well dressed, hair totally put together. And I was like, you faked me out for nothing. But that's one thing that like. That is something that is such a green flag. You know, it's not necessarily like, oh, if you're missing that, I won't date you. But it's something when you see that, you're like, oh, again, I think green flags for me translate to ease.
Ooh,
like,
that's a great
point. It translates to me feeling more at ease with you or like not having to worry about it.
In them. That is such a good point. Like, all of these factors really kind of like all equate to allowing you to ease into a relationship and feel like you can fall back and trust that person.
You don't have to micromanage certain things or be worried about how they're, because that's one thing too where I'll say it's a red flag for me if I don't think you can operate in any friend group or like any setting. If I feel like I can only introduce you to certain friends, I have to like warn my family about you because of A, B, and C. You know, if you're a strong personality where I'm like, oh, not everyone's going to like you. It's not necessarily that I want you to be palatable for everyone. I'm not saying like, like tone down who you are inside, but I think that is something that like, I don't feel at ease if I'm dating someone that's like hot-headed, you know? And I'm like, ooh, I hope he doesn't say anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that like, I definitely worried about that in my toxic relationship because like, I would always be worried that they were either going to get too drunk or like say something that was out of turn or act in a way that I was going to be embarrassed. And I don't think it's a factor of wanting somebody to tone down who they are, unless who you are is shitty, then yes, you should
tone that shit down.
But it is like a factor as a partner as well. Like, you don't want to have to worry about them. You want to know that even if they are themselves, they're going to know like what we talk about at home isn't necessarily what you can talk about in public. There are certain factors that the decorum should be clear.
Totally. I totally agree. So green flags are easier, I feel like, said than, you know, like not even said than done. I think they're easier than
easier to spot in a way. Well, no, actually, no, I disagree. Like, I disagree on my own comment.
She said, I'll retract that. I was going to say they're easier than you think in the way of like, I don't know. I don't think it's rocket science to just be like a nice, kind human being that you're trying to like be good to others and like shower once in a while. Like I don't think we're asking
kind of simple
for too much. You know, put a baby voice on every now and then to a cute dog on the street. I don't think it's that
I feel like
heavy
I'm
of an order.
Some. I know there's like a lot of other great green flags that I know exist out there, and like I've experienced in different interactions with friends or men that I've met. But I guess let's jump into the red flag.
Let's do it. It might pop us in.
It probably
too.
will, yeah.
Yeah.
I will say one of the biggest red flags that I think is a factor in human beings across the board, if somebody tells me about their history and they never take responsibility for anything that's happened in their lives, it's always somebody else that either did it to them, caused it, or like is the problem. That to me is such a huge red flag. Like you haven't learned anything from your experiences. You haven't taken self-reflection at all. And like that to me is like, stay away.
That's a really good point. And I feel like I don't look for that as much, because you hear someone's story, right? Yeah. And you like want to believe them wholeheartedly, right? Maybe not anymore. No. Now I have trust issues. We're growing. But before, when I was super trusting, I wanted to learn. You would say something, I'd be like, "That's fact. They said it. Heard." Like,
and I'm not saying like one story. Like if somebody comes to you and they did have like this horrible event that happened to them, but even I would say even in the worst of my stories, like where I can look back and go like, wow, that was like such a bad thing to happen, and I don't think it was all my fault. I can still look back and go, you know what, I could have done this. I could have changed here. I could have made an action quicker. I still took self-reflection. I think that if somebody is just so about putting it on everybody else, like that's a problem.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. It depends on the situation, of course, but I think you're right. Like having that self-awareness and self-reflection or lack thereof is more the red flag, if absolutely. You can't like think back on and take any ownership. That is something I think is a red flag for me if like I get told that I apologize too much sometimes, which is like its own thing, people are like, you don't have to apologize so much, which I'm like, fair. I get it. Women specifically apologize for our existence all the time. I know I over apologize. I know that, but I'm like, a red flag for me is someone that never apologizes, even for like a minor inconvenience. Like even if it's, you don't have to necessarily apologize for bumping into me at Trader Joe's. Shout out to the last episode. But you don't have to apologize necessarily, but I will say that's such a green flag when I see, not me going back to green flag, so sorry, but it's a red flag when someone can't, doesn't say sorry at all. You have to be like, you hurt me, for them to be like, okay. And you're like, anything else? Yeah. Or you just hear that they never say it to anyone. I think that's a red flag for me.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good one. What's another one?
I think you spoke on not loving animals. I think that's 100%. Again, it's like humanity. But I'll double down. Like I was told by someone once that I was like, oh, I'll never date you. He casually mentioned that he killed a live fish. Like, that's not funny, but in the way of like, he was like, yeah, well, the fish came, like it was a goldfish and it just became too much to like maintain. And so, yeah, I flushed him down the toilet, and I was like, what?
Crazy.
That's psychotic.
That's crazy. Like, how would you not even think of so many other steps that you could take
before just
that to me is
flushing.
Also like, it's like uncaring. It's like very self-centered because this is bothering me, so let me get rid of it. And then it's like you're not a problem solver because you're not thinking of steps that you can take. Like, oh, I could offer this to somebody else to take. I could take it to a pet store and see if they want it. Like,
take it back to the pet store I got it from.
Anything.
Yeah, no, totally. I fully agree. I was like, that was one of the most unsettling things that someone, and I know that some people are going to agree with us in the severity of it. And I think some people are going to be like, well, it's whatever. It's a goldfish. And I'm going to be like, yeah, but it's more the symbolism.
Yeah.
I think it's a living thing. You had no regard for it.
Yeah.
You gave up when it was too hard.
Yeah.
That's already putting a bad taste in my mouth. I
felt bad killing the spiders. Like,
I know.
I did. I
killed spiders the other day at her apartment.
Actually, she came and saved me. They were so massive, and she's the best. I did kill one because he came down and he got brave, and I was like, "I'm sorry, it's too close for him."
And you had to get brave.
Yeah,
and you were brave.
I did.
Yeah, you were very brave. Sorry. But no,
that's a red flag.
But yeah, no, I feel bad about that too, like killing like little baby insects and flies.
Like I think that I've seen on Instagram recently, like more of these like different types of pets that people have. And you're seeing these different personalities, and like every living thing has a personality, has a perception of life that is existing. Yeah. Like even as a goldfish, like how could you be so careless?
I know.
That's so heartbreaking.
I know it is. I'm sorry I'm laughing. It's just like funny that the sentence of you being like, as a goldfish. You're so sweet. You're so sweet. And you're compassionate and you care so deeply. And that's why we are so close.
Yeah.
But yeah, some people just don't feel that way. They don't have consideration. Yeah. Huge red flag for me is, that one is. But a huge one for me is road rage, or like someone who goes from 0 to 60 so quickly.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And it doesn't even have to be road rage. Like just any minor inconvenience. Yeah. I'm like, it like cringes me out. Like, first of all, the fact that you can get angry that quickly already puts me not at ease. No, the opposite of ease. Yeah. And then the way that you express it too. I already have a problem with people that are like passive aggressive or just straight up aggressive, of being like, even if you're not feeling a certain way, and you go like, you know, you're feeling a certain way towards a person or they piss you off, say someone cuts you off, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can say it out loud and you know, whatever. But like having the moment where you're like, this fucking guy, blah, blah, blah. And you're, especially if you are earshot of someone and you say it to like make them feel uncomfortable. Like if someone inconveniences you and you're like, wow, can't believe you just did that. Cool. Like that makes my skin crawl. Oh God. I just like, I'm like, please don't do that. Like I understand that you're upset. I'm not saying that you don't have
the right to be upset.
Yes, the right to be upset or disturbed by someone else. But like, what is that passive aggressive, like, or straight up aggressive?
Yeah.
Like,
I would agree. Like aggressive, like behavior to me is really, I call it like the caveman response.
Ooh, yeah.
Because it really is like to me, it shows a lack of intelligence.
Yeah.
Because instead of like thinking about problem solving or like reacting in a different way, it's like caveman of like, oh, I hate it. And like you react just like with emotion instead of like thinking it through.
I totally agree with that. Yeah. Because it's not like I'm going about my day, someone who never yells at anyone that, you know, never is like, fuck you, blah, blah, blah. You know, sometimes when I'm in my car alone, I'll be like, okay, keep it moving, keep it moving. You know, like that's like pretty much.
I always go, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, right. I'm not saying I'm perfect when it comes to road rage. We do live in LA.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, I'm not someone that makes someone feel uncomfortable in person about that stuff. And it's because it's like, do you think I'm just not getting disturbed by other people? No, of course I am. Of course other people rub me the wrong way every now and then.
Absolutely.
It's bound to happen, but you don't have to make other people feel a certain way about it just because, like, don't internalize it and then never express it, you know? But, you can think through it and be like, okay, that person's just a jackass, but it's not worth my time.
Totally.
All right, move on, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I think that's such a great point, too. Aggression, like, to me is like, it's just scary. I think especially if I'm thinking about it from a woman's perspective too, like I think when men might not realize when they get aggressive, it can be more scary than you're even realizing it can be.
Totally.
I think also, for me, financial literacy is like a big deal, and like it's a red flag to me if you're not at least thinking about it. You don't have to be completely like on that point, but like if you're not thinking about investing, if you're not thinking about like your future, to me like that's a red flag because like I want somebody that's like planning for the future.
Totally.
And again, that comes back into the easement, right? Like I feel like I want a partner I can rely on
that you can relax a bit.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's a big red flag for me.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think that's allowed, you know. I think you're allowed to like want someone that at least is aware. Like, you know, you're not asking for a certain amount of dollars or like a certain amount of investments or anything like that. You're asking for someone to like want to have comfortability when it comes to financial freedom.
Exactly. And is thinking about it and is planning for it and is like not careless with their money.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, careless with money doesn't mix well.
No.
No. When you see people that are just like buying shit, you know, I totally agree. That's something that turns me off. Or someone that I don't do well with people. This is just my own personal red flag. I don't think this is as much of the universal ones that we've been talking about, is when someone's so brand oriented. So like, I need to have the Gucci belt and the Gucci bag and ball. And I'm just like, you're just falling victim to clout and like consumerism, you know, like you think you're cool because you have a $3,000 bag. Do you like that bag that's $50 on wherever, you know, like just buy what you want. Like, I'm not saying if you like the designer bag, you can't buy it because it's designer. No means, but I'm like, don't do it for clout. Like anyone that is motivated through clout, I'm like, ooh,
that would lead me into another red flag of mine, insecurities. Not any insecurity. Like you would have insecurity. It's when you're
cloaked in it.
Is insecurity. Like that's a big problem. Especially for, I think, again, I think it goes into the easement and like if you want a green flag to me is like some confidence, right? It doesn't have to be perfect confidence. Like
totally.
I think we all struggle with some like little like nuances of it, but like you have to be somewhat confident in your decision making. You have to be somewhat confident in like who you are as a person. And like I think the insecurities when it's just like it's overall and it like is affecting every decision that they make, like that to me is a red flag.
I think that's I agree with you. I co-sign that one. Yeah, because I think it can make you feel uncomfortable, like how we had talked about in the previous episodes of being like feeling like you're responsible for now making them feel confident about it. Like there's a happy medium of like supporting your partner and loving them and really making sure that they don't feel insecure specifically around you, but any of their normal insecurities. Like I think that's totally, but like when they're pushing you on it and they will never hear you out and they're, you know
what I think it is too? I think it's also like how that insecurity is showing up. Like where are they trying to find that confidence from? So is it buying things that they shouldn't be buying? That's bad.
Yeah.
Is it getting attention from other people? Like that's bad.
Huge.
Like, like, so where, I guess it's more so insecurity and it playing out in negative actions.
I think that's a great like pinpoint of a red flag, because I think so many people do it like that. They're not necessarily like, I'm just feeling really insecure today. You know, it's usually manifests in other
different ways. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I was going to say violence is that should be a red flag for everyone, but you would be surprised. And even joking about violence, that is something that rubs me the wrong way. Like I've been on dates before where the guys are like, don't worry, I'm not going to kill you. And I'm like,
they said that on a date?
Yes. And I'm just like, read the room. I'm already a woman going on a date. I'm in your car right now. Like, don't say, or like, oh yeah, wouldn't that be crazy if I was a serial killer? And you're like, it's happened multiple times to me.
What's
and I'm like,
wrong with people?
I don't know.
That's what I say in my car to drivers.
Yeah. But literally, I'm like, that's something that really rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
like if they're like joking about violence and it's not so completely hyperbolic.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
especially like you said, like if it's like the beginning of seeing somebody and you
Yes.
don't really know them
And
yet.
you don't
know
have
if your safety level is at yet.
Yes. Yeah. No, like my dad to this day, like jokes, he's literally never laid a hand on my mom, obviously. And sometimes he'll like joke. Now, after 30 plus years, almost 4 years.
You're a little bit safer to make the joke.
I think he's like, yeah. You know, like stuff like that. And I'm like, fucking punch me. I'll go. Like, let's go. You know, that's where it's like the Italian comes out.
Yeah.
But that totally fine. That's like that. It's like you've established your trust.
Yes. Yeah.
You've established that ease with that person.
It's such a good description. Like it really is. Like
Thank
it's the ease of it. And I think I guess it depends on like, I guess it's what would be the differentiator in like what your red and green flags are. Like where do you want those easements? Like in your life, where do you want to be able to fully like rely on a partner? And so like I think that might be the factor of how you can create and describe your own red and green flags.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So I think that's all on red
so
flags
that's
and
our
green flags.
list. We would love to hear your list. And like again, like I think the factors change from time to time and like just reassessing. And then also I think a great factor is to once you identify a red flag, identifying how you identify that again in another person and just making sure you keep yourself and space safe.
Yeah.
Can I give a green flag real quick?
Yeah.
Please.
Listening to understand.
Ooh.
Not just waiting for the other person to say their piece so you can say yours.
Ooh, that's a good
You may have
one.
to
Yeah, I'm going to repeat that. So Will said, do you want to summarize?
Yeah, no, basically your partner should be listening to you, but not just listening to respond, but listening to actually hear your thoughts and then respond thoughtfully. Like that is a huge green flag. I think
agree.
I've met so many people that are just waiting to respond instead of actually listening to what I'm saying versus people that are actually taking it in and then having a thoughtful response to actually hearing and feeling what you're saying.
Yeah, internalizing it and being able to appropriately actually respond and not just have your turn with the talking stick. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great green flag.
Yeah, thanks, Will.
Thanks, Will. And just like Will said, like here we want to hear your guys' green and red flags too. Like please add to the list. Let's help everybody around us kind of like define and help find their red and green flags.
Yeah, red and green flags.
I don't know what I'm saying.
No, you're saying it perfectly. As far as help yourself find what works for you and the green flags, and then try and go and find them. Try and like actually attract those, and then
I think that's a great point. And I think that with the community we're creating here, like we really want to share those notes with everybody around us so that it helps people find that definition for themselves. So we thank you guys so much for being here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. We love you guys so much. Thank you.
What are you grateful for?
Oh, what am I grateful for? I am grateful for my cats.
I love that.
Every day, though.
Baby and Juice, they're the cutest things.
Yeah. They bring me so much joy. Yeah.
They really do with their little toys.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. It's awesome. They're so spoiled in the best way.
They are.
I'm grateful for my perfect little nephew who is learning how to laugh right now. So
You guys, we might have to share some of this content.
yeah,
He's so freaking
he's so
cute.
cute. Thank you all.
Thank
we
you.
love you. Bye.
Always at least once.
Yeah.